Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. All right, folks. I think I'm here. Everything's probably, hopefully, working better than the last time, where everything just went completely. Yeah, everything just went completely.
Come on, squeal.
Don't want to come.
No, I
Do
really.
not come.
She's gone from suck to blow.
Sound guy, what are you doing? Anyway, so yeah, hopefully things are working better than last time. I did a really, really deep dive on my computer, and I went in, basically just rousted the snot out of it. I mean, I went in there and I did a really, really deep dive with a very deep introspective look at, cleaned out, hopefully, some of the crumbs, cobwebs, and other esoteric carryover falderall from when you basically go all over the bleeding internet and they leave behind some stuff. Sound guy. No, it's not that bad, okay? Literally, I wasn't dealing with entirely too much okay, I wasn't dealing with that, all right? I was dealing with just well, stuff, okay? Sound guy. No, it was not that bad, okay? So I went in there, cleaned it out, made sound guy fix his side of the computer as well. No, you don't get a ding for doing administrative stuff, okay? Stop that. No, sound guy. No, stop being a yeah, that's one I put in there, okay? So, sound guy, stop being yeah, stop, okay? Because if you don't stop doing that, no, stop putting dings in there, okay? You didn't do that. I did that, okay? I made the right. See? Okay, so stop that. You don't get the ding. Dude, seriously. You're being obnoxious. All right. I'm going to have a little bit of a groundbreaking story here that obviously is not so terribly groundbreaking, but anybody who knows literally, firearms knows the guy that did the deed in upon the insurance guy knows that was not what they're saying in the media, of which they said initially what it was, and it turned out to be probably a off the grid homemade firearm. Translation: dude had a 3D printer, dude went online, dude got the files, which are not completely something that the federal government really truly likes, but really, if you do this and you do stuff illegally, see in a second here, eyebrows being a little weird. If you do this stuff illegally, that is on you to make something illegally and then do something, law breaking. That is upon you to do these things. Now, in the statutes and federal regulations therein of firearms in these United States, home build firearms are completely and absolutely legal to make, possess, and have. They are not legal for you to make and then transfer to somebody else, sell to somebody else, or in the process of producing them, make a multitude of them and spread them out amongst your compatriots. That's not legal. But in the origination of the way things are in this country, for you to make your own stuff, protecting yourself and going out and hunting and all these other rest of the things, usurping tyranny and all these other great and miraculous things you could do with your own firearms, It is completely legal, legit, and for you to have these things at your convenience. No, sound guy. No, you're not going to have to worry about the AFT going, sound guy. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, you're not going to have them going, sound guy. Stop. Okay, you're not going to have them knocking on the door. Okay, it doesn't work exactly like that, sound guy. They don't knock on the door, give you wee, and then jump. No, sound guy. Sound guy. No, it does not work like that. Okay, if you have a home built firearm that you are possessing, it is completely legal for you to have this thing. Now, dude also was busted besides having the home built firearm, of which that's asserted. We don't know if this is actually correct information, but this is information that's been supplied to us by supposedly law enforcement, then being disseminated to the media, then the media then disseminating it to us. No great amount of verification we have therein of these facts at hand. So the way, shape, and form which we said is essentially, dude has a home built firearm and a home built suppressor. Now, making a suppressor, making a short barrel firearm, making a machine gun, making a short barreled any shotgun, making a stocked pistol. Those are not legal items. You need to go through and you need to get verification therein. If you modify a pistol by putting a stock on it, that then becomes a short barreled rifle. You need to have a tax stamp on it. You may obtain those. If you make your own suppressor, before you produce that suppressor, you have to make the tube, you have to serialize it, you have to put your name on there, or quote unquote your industry nomenclature on there, before you proceed any further with any verification of making that thing go pew pew versus bang bang. You need to have all these things certified as being done correctly. Then you have to take that and submit the proper form. I forget the number off the top of my head. I think it's a form 4 or something like that. But you submit the form to the BATF. The BATF goes, okay, you're making a suppressor. Suppressors are only regulated under us. Basically, you're now producing said item. Throw us $200, send in the proper form, wait the proper time period. We will then send you a tax stamp to be applicable upon that suppressor. Upon that point in time, you then may proceed with further manufacture and complete the suppressor therein to be a NFA. So a National Firearms Act of 1934, or the GCA of 1934, Gun Control Act of 1934, where they regulated short barrel rifles, short barrel pistols, suppressed firearms, machine guns, and of course, short barreled shotguns. All those things follow the regulations of being under the NFA of 1934 Gun Control Act, and you need to have the proper accreditations. Now, I'm going to go a little bit more loose, illustrative here. A rifle has to have a minimum overall length of 26 inches. It may not have a barrel shorter than 16 inches to be classified as a rifle. Caliber does not matter. It could be 22 short all the way up to 50 caliber BMG. Doesn't matter. 16-inch barrel is your minimum length. If you go under that, it becomes a short barreled rifle, where before you even think to put blade on that barrel and start cutting, you need to put serial number on that weapon on the form that you then apply to the BATF. Shotgun as well, under 18 and a half inches. They usually say 18, but most people go 18 and a half just to keep it just a little bit more on the side of caution, just in case. So 18 inches for shotgun, 16 inches for rifle. Pistols, before you put a stock on it or a foregrip, in other words, the shooty with another handhold, you have to have that form applicable before you do these things. Before you put a stock on a pistol, that is the other thing. Now, they have all those things about arm braces. You have to have this done with the arm brace and this, that, and the other. That failed miserably. Arm braces, because their primary function is to make it easier for people to use one-handed. It braces on your arm. People with, mobility issues along the lines of that. That's what they were originally designed for. If you take that item and you cheek it up and you put it on your shoulder and you use it incidentally as a firearm stock, that it's not its primary purpose, and AFT got its pee-pee slapped. You are not making a short-barreled rifle. That is a modification that is completely allowed, and AFT gets the pound sand because they get to act like okay, yeah, they get to act like that. I don't know if that's dang-worthy sound guy. But anyway, if you have a stocked pistol using the arm brace, it doesn't count as a stock. Okay, so that's how that one works. Now, getting into the actual article, which I wish to reference here, they are now talking about the suppressor used in the zapping of the insurance guy in New York City, which drove them absolutely nuts trying to figure out who the guy was. Anyway, let's see. Scrolly. Okay, that is a bad link, unfortunately. All right, that did not work. I was trying to look up something on Ammo Land. They were talking about the suppressor. From what I understand, though, the firearm was a home-built firearm. The suppressor was a home-built item, of which both cases, one was legal and one was not. Then scrolling, beginning over here, some other gun news. Supposedly, they're saying that, Hunter Biden, it was a rare and unusual prosecution, and they were picking on the president's son. This coming in from Gun Owners of America, GOA, of which I wholeheartedly ascribe myself to being aligned with. Those guys are good poop. They say in their Twitter post, it is a lie. 96.9% of Americans who are charged with the same statute as Hunter Biden will receive jail time with a minimum average sentence of 60 months. 60 months. So the thing about it is they even say in the article itself, there's going to be comments about the Hunter Biden pardon, but one thing is undeniable: Hunter would not have faced criminal charges in Delaware if his name was not. Hunter would, yeah. If his name is Biden, he was not going to face criminal charges in Delaware. Yeah. Scrolly. This one I think is completely interesting. Not even in the slightest, because we all know this stuff was going to happen. So, not by accident, happening from Burisma. Lame duck President Joe Biden, clearly with zero rips to give, with just a little over a month left of his disastrous presidency, pardoned his pathetic, overgrown man-child of a son late Sunday. So neither here nor there. It says a lot about the cowardly character of Joe. He chose to announce this late on Thanksgiving week Sunday, when he knew the national pushback would be minimal. This is coming in on a Twitter post by Greg Price. Mind you, this isn't a pardon for anything specific that Hunter had been guilty of, but an all-encompassing blanket pardon for anything else he could be guilty of. Yes, even the left-leaning Politico noted Hunter Biden's pardon is the most comprehensive and sweeping pardon seen since a certain Richard Nixon was pardoned by President Gerald Ford. Also note, Gerald Ford is the only president of these United States who has never been elected. Remember that. He was stuck in there after the fact. Let's see. Funny how the left tries to paint President-elect Donald Trump in Nixon-esque strokes, yet it's allegedly upstated Democrat president's son needs the Nixon-esque pardon. Nixon-esque. I love that. Nixon-esque. And yet there's any doubt that the elder Biden knows exactly what he's doing and what he's protecting his son from. Look no further than the particular period of time that Hunter Biden's pardon covers. Politico, again, a left-leaning outlet, had its hand forced as it called out that very timing. Quote, the starting date of January 1, 2014, in which Biden pardon was surely not chosen randomly, Hunter Biden joined the board of Burisma Holdings, a Ukrainian gas company, in April 2014, while his father was vice president. Politico noted, Republicans have accused the younger Biden of illegally profiling off his position on that board. So major profits there. Republicans also accused Joe Big Guy Biden directly are benefiting from this alleged illegal profiteering. So, yeah, there's a lot of Joe to cover here, and the naked brazenness of it did not go unnoticed on social media. So it goes on and on and on. There is other stuff I could go into as well that I think is very cogent in this, and something that most people truly don't get into with this whole Burisma thing. Now, Europe right now is in a stranglehold dealing with Russian natural gas. And of course, Putin can go, hey, if you don't play with me, I'm going to turn the taps off and you won't have any natural gas. Also, it's a double-edged sword what's going on in Europe right now. They are beholden to the European Union is really beholden to Russia right now for its natural gas, of which to power things. Now, the dirty little secret is Germany has scads of coal. As a matter of fact, they have so much coal that during World War II that they devised the process that we possibly could even did use, and I don't even know if we really use it anymore because it's kind of financially not the most feasible thing, but you take coal and you convert that into petroleum to then utilize as diesel and gasoline for your motor vehicles so you can continue to fight World War II during gasoline and diesel turn-offs that you're getting from, I don't know, like the rest of everybody else in the world who happens to be fighting you at the time. That's what's going on with that one. So Germany is full to the gills with coal. They can't use it, though, because the European Union, with their green process of making everything so warm and fuzzy, has decided that using standard petroleum-based, coal-based, all these other things give carbon off. Well, guys, if you want to be completely charitable here, the CO2 content in the classic European atmosphere of like prehistoric times was like 3 or 4%. Current readings of carbon dioxide in standard Earth atmosphere right now is about a couple tenths of a percent. We don't have too much CO2. As a matter of fact, more CO2 would actually be better because we're sliding into a cooling cycle. So more greenhouse gases would actually keep us a bit warmer because things are going cyclical. The sun's going through its cycle. Obviously, the earth is going through its cycle. Every 10,000 years, there is a polar shift. The poles actually physically move. That seems to be going on right now, and we can actually track the North Pole as it's doing its thing. Now, I did see a diagram. It's actually really, really hard to source for some reason, but some years ago, I saw the actual circuitous path of the Earth's pole. It doesn't stick, 33 degrees or whatever it is. It actually kind of does almost like a spirograph thing where like tooth inside a gear where it's kind of like juddering around and it goes in a circular motion as it's like jumping teeth as it's going in that really strange motion. It's not a true sweep. It is kind of like it's riding up and down teeth as it's going around the circle. Now, the other thing too is also the sun goes through its solar maximum, its solar minimum, and in the process of doing these things, it changes our weather. All these things are going on right now, and of course, Europe is under the thumb of basically the green, got to be everything green and EV by 2030, 2035 or some such. California's following in lockstep. My state's being stupid like that to some degree. Other states are also following along in lockstep. I tend to think that's not going to work really good because I can simply just go to a border state and I'll buy a gas-powered vehicle if they're going to play too stupid. I'm not going to drive an EV unless I really, really want to. I like to have freedom of choice. So anyway, like I said, going completely full and circular here, that's going on. The absolute dirtiest little secret about this whole Burisma thing, if you do any kind of research, Ukraine is a vast storehouse of growing all manner of crops besides sunflowers. It is the breadbasket of the European area of that place in the world. It has vast reserves of natural gas. It has vast reserves of petroleum. It has vast reserves of minerals. So really, what this came down to being, and really all it truly really is Russia is trying to keep Ukraine from selling natural gas to the European Union. Because as soon as we take natural gas out of the planet, freeze it, condense it, turn it into liquid natural gas, load it into tankers, roll it across the ocean over to Europe, and pump it out to them, where they then take it, warm it back up, turn it back into natural gas versus liquefied natural gas, and then utilize it. The price of doing all that, condensing to decondensing to travel makes the natural gas not that cheap for Europe to buy from us, even though we have scads of the stuff. We have vast oil reserves, vast natural gas reserves, plenty of it to spare, sell, do whatever with that we need to. We are not under the thumb nearly as bad as the European Union is right now for everything to go green, decarbonization, and all the rest of this happy falderall where they're trying to sell everybody the bill of goods about global warming. So take it as gospel. The reason why Putin is in the Ukraine area right now is a petrochemical natural gas war of financial ruin or win. That's all that it is. Now, if you want to go down and dirty, what is the company that was involved with Ukraine's natural gas process? Burisma. That's where this is coming from. Okay? You can take that as gospel. You can do a little research and you can find it out for yourself. That's the reason why the war in Ukraine is going on right now. Not some NATO expansion, not some other, excuse that Putin is using. He is simply looking at the dollars or the rubles in his bank account, either growing or being depleted by natural gas sales to the EU. That's it. Now, the other thing, too, is also we probably didn't help by, plunking all this stuff in Ukraine and going, hey, Putin, if you push too far, they got some bullets in their gun to fire back at you. That probably didn't help much. They probably didn't help much at all. Anyway, so that's where that one's coming from. Going into the next news story, I think I got cut off for actually a chance to talk about this one, but there is something called the 4B. And the 4B literally is a Korean feminist movement that is going on right now. I'm going to click off on a link here, but it's called the 4B or the 4 No's. It's a radical feminist movement that's originated in South Korea. So the B's in Korean actually mean something versus the Americans going, I'm a 4B female. I'm not going to blah, 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 blah. No, I'll just give you the whole list here. So I'm going to go from top to bottom here. So the beliefs, the 4 core tenets of the 4B movement are, and I'm looking at this on Wikipedia, no sex with a man, which in Korean is called biseksui. I think that's what it is. So it's BISEKSEU. So biksu might be bisexual. No giving birth, which is bikchul-san. I don't speak Korean. No giving birth, so bikchul-san or BICHULSAN, or that's the way that is on that one. No dating men, which is Bayane. I think that's what it is. Bayane, which is BIYEONAE. So no sex with men. So bisexual, no giving birth, Bichul-san, no dating men. So Bayane, and no marriage with men or Bihon. So BIHON. So you have the 4 B's there: bisexual, Bichul-san, Bayane, and Bihan. So the 4 B's. No sex with men, no giving birth, no dating men, no marriage with men. That is the 4B movement in South Korea. Now, it's considered a fringe movement in South Korea with an estimated membership of 4,000 people in 2019. So South Korea is actually not a completely unpopulated place. I mean, it's really not a small amount of people here. So let me click over here. Hang on a second here. I'm just going to get you a true number here just to keep myself honest, because I honestly don't know the population. So the population now in South Korea is, let's see, population. Scroll. Is 52 million people. Not quite 52 million, 100,000, but about 52 million people. So 4,000 people out of 52 million people. It sounds pretty much like the whiny little sound guy. How would you say it? It sounds like the whiny little
But I pooped from there.
No, sound guy. No, it doesn't sound like that, okay? Okay, it sounds more like that. It sounds like the whiny group of cat ladies. Yes. Okay, anyway, so basically, it sounds like a bunch of cat ladies. It sounds like a bunch of cat ladies. Sound guy. Anyway, so that's the 4B movement. So getting into it, it's now an article I found on Breitbart.com of all places. So these chicks, and I do mean these sound guys, stop. These chicks. All right, they're so unbelievably put upon because Donald Trump was elected a second time. Getting into the article, several liberal women, I can't even say this phrase. Several liberal women have gotten sterilized or plan to, blaming their decision to become infertile on Donald Trump winning the 2024 presidential election. In interviews with Newsweek, the women, including an OnlyFans model, well, she's just showing it off anyway, said they are afraid of their quote-unquote reproductive rights, end quote, being taken away once Trump becomes president yet again. Okay, let me put a stop on that for about half a flipping second. Trump, in his entire campaign, in any component of his campaign, stated clearly, I don't want to have a thing to do with Roe versus Wade. It's been decided by the Supreme Court. It is now a state rights issue. Handled. I don't need to even lob any kind of anything at anywhere, any place, anytime. It has been decided. I want nothing to do with it. It is a decided thing by the Supreme Court of these United States. Handled. Done. So they're now putting out false premises to state, oh, Trump's going to basically get rid of Roe v. Wade. Dumbasses, Roe v. Wade went back to the states. It hasn't been gotten rid of. It is now handled locally. That is how Roe v. Wade is working. So anyway, this one chick's Roe v. Basically being the OnlyFans. Wow. So Trump has repeatedly said he believes abortion is a state issue, although his left-wing opponents have basically claimed he will ban abortion nationwide. He has no reason to do that whatsoever. He's got bigger fish to fry than rather than, you basically going out acting like whatever and getting a kid that you have to take care of later on in any way, shape, or form. Ew. So Aiden Ixora, 25 of Florida, who reportedly creates content for OnlyFans, said the idea of getting pregnant is worse than death. Stop being a slut. She told the outlet she's making plans to have a bilateral salpingectomy, which basically means they're hacking out the tubes of her fallopians. Procedure to have both of her fallopian tubes removed. Quote, for me, it's a call to action. It's a need to get this locked in so I don't have to live in fear that any moment some random guy can completely destroy my life. Stop being a slut. Use some birth control. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe know the method of which you don't get pregnant by doing it at the wrong time of the month. Yeah. You're basically being a slut and trying to excuse it. Quote, for me, the idea of getting pregnant is worse than death. I'm doing what I'm going to do to protect my right to choose. I am choosing me, she added. Why don't you choose to not be a slut? Ugh. Lydia Eccles, 28 of Texas, also told the outlet she plans to have her fallopian tubes removed. Quote, if I'm denied any rights in the next 4 or more years, I will not give them up without a fight. You do realize this is kind of a permanent solution to a kind of a temporary problem, right? Yeesh. A 39-year-old who preferred not to be identified, slut, told the outlet she had just got the procedure to have her fallopian tubes removed. She claimed she had felt like she had no choice because of the election results. How about don't be a slut? Quote, I'm not happy I was forced into surgery. I did not want to alter my body. I feel like the election tied my hands and forced me into being sterilized. That is horrible. Or maybe you could stop being a slut. Another woman who said she and her husband never wanted children, scheduled an appointment to be sterilized in October, but had planned to cancel the surgery the day after the election, assuming Kamala won. This is outwardly motivated people who really are just looking for an excuse to act like a-holes. Another woman who said she and her husband, with Trump's victory, I quickly learned that my choice to cancel their surgery had been taken from me, she claimed. You did it, dumbass! This isn't a wanted procedure, but one of necessity due to the politics and subjugation coming our way. What subjugation, okay? If you were going to get knocked up before, you're going to get knocked up now because you're not using protection. Just give me 1 second here. If the sign on the road says don't walk, and you walk across the roadway when there's traffic, it's kind of on you. It's not going to be like, hey, this guy didn't have a soft enough bumper on his car and I'm injured. I'm sorry. You tend to walk out in front of the vehicle. It's not like physics are going to be denied, okay? You're not going to suddenly just hold up your hands and the car is going to magically stop because you said, whoa, this is scary and dangerous. It could be truthfully said that you are doing these things and you're expecting something to be outwardly taken care of later. And I got really, really bad news for you, Miss Leftist, spread your legs. Abortion is not birth control. Abortion is you fixing the problem after you were a slut. Okay? Let's just be really not exactly uncharitable here. The only way that you don't get pregnant for sure is you don't have unprotected sex. Okay? That's the only way for sure you're not going to get pregnant is you don't have unprotected sex. If you're pretending that it's just going to be a magic bullet to just take care of any problem to fix it later on after you basically zap somebody and you said, oh geez, the baby juice went into where the baby's coming out. I don't know what's going to happen next. Lady, you got bigger fish to fry than that one because you're an idiot. Moving on to the next one. Why? Just why? Why? I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but there's a website now called Blue Sky. Now, one of the guys who formerly worked at Twitter, X, call it what you will, rolled out, I don't know if he took his little red wagon with him, but he rolled out of X/Twitter. He had the template and built himself a new website called Blue Sky. Literally just Blue Sky, one word. Now, if you look at this thing, it is top down, really close to what Twitter used to be. 140 characters and, all the rest of that happy horse mess. So that's literally what it is. And it's set up to be an alternative to Twitter/X, where all these screaming memeites can then go, I don't have a place any longer on Twitter/X. I'm leaving. Okay, you're leaving. Goodbye. And then when in the process they leave X/Twitter and all the rest of this happy horse stuff, they then set themselves up in Blue Sky. Slight problem. If you go to Blue Sky and they ask you standard question, I think, to actually be approved for usage therein, is there such a thing as a man and a woman? Is there two distinct sexes? Is there binary genders? And you say yes. You're gone, man. You're like so gone. It's like you were never even trying to get in the first place. It's like boop. Yes, there is two sexes. Uh-oh. Oh, geez. What happened here? Oh no. I just said that there's such a thing as a binary sex thing. Yeah. So I set off the alerts. Oh no, I went straight into the no zone. Absolutely. I flew straight into it and oh no, I set off alarm bells.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Well, anyway, the way, shape, and form in which we find ourselves, Blue Sky has been attracting all those well, those guys from the
No zone.
okay, all the guys from the no zone. How else can we say it except for what it is? You know, they went into the no zone, and in the process of going into the no zone, they have assigned themselves appropriately to be those guys who maybe like things that they really shouldn't like. So anyway,
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
anyway, so we're talking about a bunch of guys who are well, more they're
You sick little monkey.
yeah, it's now come out to be that Blue Sky is now attracting pedophiles, deviants of all order, and they're getting aid, comfort, and protection on the Blue Sky website because if you're a well, Trump supporter, no, it's not meep, okay? Sound guy. No, it's a bunch of pedophiles and malcontents and other. Okay, well, maybe
You booster vacuum.
okay, a bunch of rooster vacuums. Anyway, so those guys getting in there, they are just becoming well,
You dick.
I don't know about that one sounding, but it's definitely a whole crowd of the oh yeah, just a whole bunch of the
Oops, I dropped my gerbil.
You've got mail.
okay, well anyway, you cannot make mention of binary sexual gender aspects to the human condition or you're gonna get tossed. And I do mean like just stop that. That's the way we take a bad case of
Whoa, commentary. Yeah.
yeah, no, well, it's gonna be more than woke commentary. It's those guys getting in there and describing all the
you may want to.
You've got mail.
oh, I'm sure they got mail. Anyway, it's describing a whole bunch of like pedophilic type of guys, and that's their new hang. Scrolly. This this is unbelievably delicious. I cannot begin to tell you when I find out news stories like this. This just makes me laugh. Could you say it's possibly?
It's spicy.
Well, I don't know about spicy, but it's definitely a bad case of somebody doing really something just got him on there. All the don't no. Okay. So the news story is, and I cannot do this any justice except for this is a leftard Democrat being screwed by their own gun laws. Spectacularly. This is possibly one of the best. Just, you know, dude was like looking for a little bit of, but he got turned into a hand puppet by his own usurping. So the news story is essentially coming in on AMLN.com on Thursday morning, the 28th of November, Thanksgiving Day. Capitol Police found 11 rounds of ammunition and 4 magazines in a bag, which Michael Hopkins had put through the screening at the Cannon House office building. Hopkins is a staff member of Representative Joe Morell, Democrat of New York. And this is coming in from WFIN.com. So approximately 8:45 a.m., a House staffer entered the Cannon House office building and put his bag through the screening device, translation X-ray machine. So USCP, so United States Capitol Police officers, noticed what appeared to be ammunition on the X-ray screen. Capitol Police told Fox News in a statement. After a hand search of the bag, the officers found 4 ammunition magazines and 11 rounds of ammunition. The staffer told the officers he forgot the ammunition was in the bag. But it gets better than that. The statement continues. Capitol Police say Michael Hopkins, 38, is now facing charges for unlawful possession of ammunition, including 1 charge for possession of a high-capacity magazine. Remember, Washington, D.C. has limitations on magazine capacity. So if your magazine capacity holds too many pew-pews, your poo-poo is going to end up in jail because you carry too many pew-pews and your poo-poo is going to suffer. So while he goes to slam you in the ass jail for this one, I think he got released, obviously, but so he's also not the brightest light on the Christmas tree because he seems to have forgotten how stuff works in that of which you swim in those waters. So Hopkins became the communications director for Representative Morell in October 2024, according to the Hopkins LinkedIn account. So 2024, October, he didn't last for long before doing something really blanking stupid. According to that, he basically did it on his account in 2024. So he passed the bar in New York State. Hopkins shows he's been a contributing writer to The Hill for 7 years and 5 months. Michael Hopkins no longer works for Representative Joe Morell, according to Morell's chief of staff from Roll Call magazine. So Hopkins no longer is employed in Morell's office effective immediately, according to Monday afternoon statement from the chief of staff, Joe Stiles. Translation, they were like, dude, you are a blanking idiot. We can't deal with you because you're making us look bad doing gun stuff, and we hate guns. Just give me 1 second here. We hate guns, and you're doing gun stuff. Wow. So Administrative Committee Oversight over Health Operations and Capitol Security, including jurisdiction or legislative branch support agencies like the Capitol Police. AmmoLand was unable to find information about what caliber ammunition was found in the bag or what firearm the magazines might have fit. Quote, it's not uncommon for people who are shooters to forget about a few rounds of ammunition or some accessories when taking a bag through a security checkpoint. It appears the charges against Mr. Hopkins are District of Columbia statutes. The offense listed, quote, unlawful possession of ammunition, quote, and possession of high-capacity magazine are likely unconstitutional. But they still stuck them with it, trying to get into the building. The prohibition of magazines has been challenged in several federal court cases. It's difficult to know what events will affect Mr. Hopkins' future career. If Mr. Hopkins worked for a pro-Second Amendment legislator, he might have been relieved of his position. Legislatures are acknowledged as sensitive places by the Supreme Court. Administrative offices may or may not be considered sensitive places. They are not part of the legislature. Places guarded by armed security are plausible candidates for quote-unquote sensitive places. Attempting to take ammunition into a quote-unquote sensitive place might be a more appropriate charge. Congressman Eric Culver not required to go through security checkpoints at the Capitol. Michael Hopkins will not have any difficulty finding meaningful employment, but perhaps not as a staffer to anti-gun politicians. Unfortunately for Mr. Hopkins, his employer is a strong supporter of numerous infringements on the right to keep and bear arms. Representative Joe Morell supports, quote, an assault weapon ban, end quote, universal background checks, banning the sale of standard capacity magazines, translation, big ones, mandatory liability insurance for firearm owners, mandatory 3-day waiting periods for firearm purchases, and many others. Dude, you worked for exactly the wrong guy if you were pro-gun, and you should have known better. You, my friend, chose poorly. Wow. Unbelievable. This one, me having fun, I usually post up pictures of, Hans Gruber from Die Hard, and I'll post it up at Nakatomi Plaza, and I'm being a little cute about it. But, I'd say, well, we all know it ain't Christmas until the Hans falls. And Hans Gruber, the guy that was hanging on the watch when Bruce Willis, his character, turned the watch loose and he falls to, quote unquote, falls to his demise. So basically, I found a picture where somebody had done like a middle ages kind of drawing, and they were basically channeling this, and I had fun with it. So I basically then made it into almost like a Middle English kind of speaking of what would happen to Hans Gruber when he's falling to his demise. So I posted a picture up of the classic one where he's just like he's got the H&K P7 and he's just going because he's so surprised. The actor who played Hans Gruber literally was freaked out because they were like, okay, you're standing on this thing and we have a rope holding you. And when we get to the count of 3, we'll drop you, look surprised. And he's like, oh, okay. And the thing about it is, he knew that there was going to be a count of 3 and they were going to let him go. Well, they kind of surprised him a little bit. And they were not really thinking that was going to have happened. And the actor Alan Rickman kind of is afraid of heights, from what I understand. So what they literally did was like, okay, we're going to basically let you go on 3. And they were like, all right. So look surprised when it falls. And they're like, 1, 2. They dropped him. And he was just like, ah! So it was completely like, we want to have a really realistic OS hit moment. We want him to look like he's getting ready to crap himself, just going, ah! And that's literally what they did. At the 2 count, they let him go. And the drop that he did, I think, was like maybe like 13, 14 feet. And it was falling onto like an air cushion. But the air cushion had a painted cover on it that looked spectacularly like the landscape surrounding Nakatomi Plaza from where the camera view would be looking down at, from like window view looking down at the street. And they had this thing all painted up and it looked excellent. I mean, you look at the picture, it looks like he's literally getting ready to fall down and go kasplat. Well, anyway, me being the smart ass that I am, I changed it up and I said, we know it ain't Christmas until the Hans falls. So in Middle English, I quoted it as saying this: "For 'tis not the dayeth birth of thy Christian Lord, before thine Hans, formerly known thee whence such, namely Gruber, of four cascades verily. Verily, primarily, high place fallen such, vaulted heights to his ending sudden." So yeah, me having fun with that one. This one, I think, I'm going to jump subjects here a little bit, but this one I think is absolutely hilarious. Now, this chick, normally, you can't you really cannot shut her up. She's got the high squeaky baby voice, kind of like AOC. And if you've seen her around, she's kind of a standard, okay looking Jewish chick. But she's not nearly all that great to be around because the voice is just flipping annoying. It's this high pitchy little girl voice. She's just annoying to listen to, like AOC. But anyway, so I said in my post on Facebook, I said, well, now maybe we're sick of hearing you and AOC and your baby voice pitch shrieking stupid libtardational statements, or maybe you just got less stupid and you STFO, or you shut the F Chuck up. Well, that should have been a U, but oh well. Either way, keep it to yourself. Notoriety doesn't give your opinions any more weight than our personal choices or seeing reality for what it is. So on this one, what it is exactly and pointedly is coming in from Breitbart.com, Sarah Silverman. I'm sure you've seen her around. She's just the comic that you really can't escape, kind of like other noteworthy, notable, obnoxious ones. It's just anyway. So Sarah Silverman on Breitbart coming in from this one says she claimed she stopped talking politics. Now she gets this one exactly right because this is right out there, and I think it's absolutely hilarious when you have the notables getting slapped upside the head with the fact that nobody wants to hear them talking crap anymore. She said this, quote, Nobody wants to hear from celebrities right now. Okay, well, you're notable, you're famous enough that people know who you are, but you don't just like you're not one of these people that everybody's like, oh yeah, Sarah Silverman, Sarah Silverman. She's not like you're name dropping her constantly, like, oh yeah, this chick, blah blah blah. See her all the time. You know, you can't escape her. She's this, that, the other thing. She, it's really kind of just one of those. She's around. You know of her, but you're not like, oh, I gotta know everything about this chick. Uh, it's just she's around. Okay, she's not that notable. I mean, it's not like you basically are talking about somebody on order of Kathy Griffin. I mean, that's the chick I was trying to remember off the top of my head. I had to do a quick search. Just she got Kathy Griffin got notoriety because she basically was doing a whole detached, bloody, fake Trump head thing. Killed her career. I mean, literally killed her career. Like even the the people on the left are like, oh, dude, we're tapping out of this one. We don't want anything to this. This is bad juju. Do not want. That's like, tottering towards like, threatening like, in office people. Not want. Anyway, so comedian Sarah Silverman says she stopped talking politics throughout the election, believing Americans do not wish to hear from celebrities at the moment. No, we don't want to hear from celebrities at the moment. You having public notoriety does not give your words any more weight than anybody else on the planet. And truly, we don't need to hear you talk. Shut up. We don't care what you have to say about blanking anything. Stand around, do your gig, basically shut the hell up, get off stage. We're done with you. We don't need to hear you off stage going, well, I think that so-and-so is so important because this, that, and the other thing, and all this roundabout, secondarily unimportant crap is so notable that I need to speak on it. We don't need to hear from you. Do us all a favor and shut up. Not needed. Even though Silverman's been an outspoken Democrat for years, campaigning for Barack in 2008, 2012, as well as a speech at the 2016 Democrat National Convention, DNC told the Millennium Star Tribune she chose to keep silent this election because, quote, nobody wanted to hear from celebrities right now. No, we don't ever want to hear from celebrities about, political anything. Excuse me 1 second here. Nose is running. I was on the road with a tour. For one thing, a lot of people asked me if I was going to make a video or something, but my feeling was nobody wanted to hear from celebrities right now. Maybe I was wrong. I was just focused on reposting thoughts from smarter people. There's one thing I wish I'd done. In 2008, I did something called the Great Schlep, where I told young Jews to tell their grandparents they wouldn't visit them again unless they voted for Obama. I should have done something like that again. You know what? If you had done that to me as a Jew, I would have told you to go stick your head up your ass and fight for air, because nobody is going to tell me who or what to associate with because I'm voting for or voting against a certain person. You are an asshole for even suggesting that. So counterpoint to where you are now saying, well, I don't really want to talk about this. You should have shut the hell up the first time around and not said jack squat about anything political. Being a stupid ass on stage, talking stupidity to try to make people laugh at your idiocy. That's your job. Not political marksmanship on who's better or who's worse. I don't know if you guys found out about it or not, but the guy that basically had the choking death on the subway was found not guilty on both the charges. Unfortunately, though, the father is now trying to stick him with some kind of, well, I'm going to sue you for zapping my son because my son's a dirtbag and I didn't help him when he was alive. Well, dude, if you're suing him civilly, I hope to hell, dude, wins, and I hope to hell he wins in such a way, shape, and form that you get to pay for his legal bills, and I hope his GoFundMe takes care of him justifiably so he is absolutely able to drag your ass into court and make you look like the fool you are for not assisting your son when you should have rendered aid, rather than letting some guy have to use the most absolutely brutal means possible to stop your son from being the public asshole he always physically was. Truthfully, your son should have gotten his ass kicked more than a few times. Then maybe he would have realized being the crazy person in public is not so good. I think he got really lucky for the long run that he had, dosed up on all the meds that he had, trying to stop being crazier by being more crazy. Yeah, he got lucky. He didn't get his ass kicked on a daily basis. And in New York City, he really should have gotten his ass kicked on a daily basis. Scrolly. Oh, time to render salute. Unfortunately, I'm a couple days late on this one, but I still will remember them. 2,406 U.S. military members made the ultimate sacrifice in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, 7 December 1941, 0800 local time. Thank you for your sacrifices, men. We will never forget you. Cops and companions. Anyway, scroll. Oh, this is one that's starting to go around, and I think this is absolutely hilarious. You know, the blanket pardon tour that Joe Biden seems to be going on with now, that, you know, they're going to be cranking him out in the last month that he's in office, and, you know, the total freak out for how long is it going to be before, you know, he's not going to be able to pardon anybody again. The only thing I've seen that really brings this into complete and total absolute honesty is innocent people don't need pardons. Oh, man. I don't know if you guys were a victim of this. I was on my phone going on Facebook, and it was like every third thing I was looking at was like some, what is this? And I was like literally having to block page after page after page of secondarily not even correct, just obnoxious, just AI-driven falderall that was being tossed at me. It was ridiculous. I mean, I was dealing with way too many algorithm-driven posts and pages and stuff that, you know, I truly was not even in the slightest bit interested in, or tangentially, it was like, wow, this is one of your minor interests. Dude, all that stuff is turned off. You shouldn't be even thinking along the lines of, oh yeah, well, you like the XYZ, but not, you know, not the, you know, the ABC or, you know, this DEF stuff, but you're really more into like the JLK. No, JKL. No, I'm kind of more into the, you know, I just kind of look at everything. You know, some stuff jumps out at me, some other items, you know, I take a, you know, like basically a tertiary interest in, and it cultivates maybe like a, you know, a minor, I'm down the rabbit hole. I think I'll snoop this out for a couple minutes. That's usually how it works, man. I'm a dog in traffic. Just like, you know, that classic Joker description from Batman. It's like, I'm a dog in traffic, and I don't know where I'm going to go next. It's just, you know, one of those beauteous things about being a dyslexic is you don't know where the thoughts are going to lead you next time, but sometimes you're going to be scrolling through, and then, you know, something jumps out over here, something pops over there, you know, two other things jump out, and you're like, oh, all this information I now got to, you know, I now got to go through and, you know, meander with and noodle upon, and we don't file things alphabetically. Trust me, it just does not work that way. And if I did not have a phone with a stencil and writing ability, I'd be hosed, because sometimes thoughts come to me and I'm like, I better get this down. It's going to be gone. Or I'll text things to myself. You know, I'll email things to myself, because I know it's not going to stay in the brain pan for long. And it was either interesting enough to be something that I wanted to, you know, cogitate upon later on, or something I want to have filed for something later on. In any way, shape, or form, it was something that I was going to be needing to, you know, look upon later. Ram, what's your problem? Come here. Doggage. Dog unit. Come here. Dog unit. Dog unit. What's wrong with dog unit? He's like, he's whimpering and carrying on. I don't know what his problem is. Really? Is that bad? Mrs. Dude is out, so I don't know if she's outside or what's going on, but he was like sitting at the door and, like, you know, whimpering a little bit, but I don't know. This one I think is very, very interesting. Supposedly, Lara Trump, you know, the one who's married to one of Trump's sons, will be stepping out as co-chair of the RNC as she considers a number of potential options with her father-in-law, President-elect Donald Trump, set to return to the White House. Among the potential possibilities is replacing Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who Trump tapped to be the next Secretary of State. If Rubio is confirmed, Florida State Ron DeSantis will choose who takes the seat through the remainder of Rubio's term, which expires in 2026, thus keeping Republican control in the Senate. And, of course, making, you know, Chuck Schumer just whine, cry, and complain because that's kind of what he does. Scroll. This one is absolutely. I'm going to be really careful here. I don't want to go, too heavy and make the microphone freak out again. But Thor's hammer. Supposedly, somebody threw a question at Donald Trump. They're like, "You're going to be breaking up families if you start deporting illegals." And he's like, "Well, I don't want to be breaking." He said this exactly. Quote: "I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way that you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back over the fence." A family that stays together deports together. Hey. Oh man. This coming in to be very, very interesting. Supposedly is now coming out to be truthpress.com. Trump says he'll be getting back to basics on day one. The executive orders will take on the economy, energy, and border security coming immediately after he takes office. So this is going to be the first executive orders he'll be signing off. And he says he'll be doing a lot of executive orders, doing a Sunday interview with NBC News' Kirsten Welker on Meet the Press. Has a lot to do with economics, he said. A lot's going to have to do with energy. A lot's going to have to do with the border. And we're going to immediately strengthen up the border and do a real job and some of the basics. It said he'll be ending birthright citizenship on day one. Trump said he would do it if we can through executive answer. I was going to do it through executive answer, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. But we have to end it. So I'm sure right now they are pooping kittens trying to figure out how they're going to counter this in any way, shape, or form. And speaking of somebody who's pooping kittens, let me see if I can't read this one real quick here. But prickly punk-ass political puke pickpockets potential proceeds. And this one is completely disgusting. So the FBI arrested a Boston city councilor early Friday morning at her home, according to WCVB TV. On-site reporters noted the arrest happened around 6 a.m. while capturing video of the arrest. So Councilor Tania Fernandez Anderson, a Democrat who represents Boston's District 7, which includes locales like Dorchester and Fenway, was arrested by FBI agents on a number of charges. These charges include 5 federal counts of wire fraud, 1 federal count of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds. Anderson's scheme effectively boiled down to her giving one of her staffers extra bonus money, and then that staffer was sending a chunk of that money back to the counselor. Money laundering, huh? Yeah. So these 6 federal charges stem from alleged kickback scheme that she orchestrated to obtain several $1,000s in taxpayer money in exchange for a bribe she paid to a staffer who she gave a very large bonus. I've been exposing this lying psychotic fraud Boston City Councilor Tania Fernandez Anderson to leagues, the journalist Aidan Keeney reported. Today, she was arrested by the FBI. Here she is in 2022 defending her illegal rapist friend, Ricardo Arroyo, who was running for DA. Quote, "What the F-chuck do I have to do in this F-chucking council to get some respect as a black woman?" And the quote coming back was, "Maybe stop being such a ratchet." Kearney's post included an unedited vulgar video of the Anderson tirade, and it can be seen on the link that I have. So basically, she's a royal piece of crap. Meet Boston councilor Tania Fernandez Anderson, at Tania 4D7, a radical activist and immigrant from West Africa. During the swearing in, she refused to repeat the oath and raise her hand. She hates this country and the Constitution. She's previously offered resolutions on 9/23 for the Boston Hijab Day and for Boston to apologize to the Atlantic slave trade. Last time I remember, we haven't had slaves in a while. Yeah. She also has a history of anti-white racist tweets where she complains about white people holding government positions. She married a convicted murderer while he was in prison for life. She referred to the October 7th Hamas attacks as simply a military operation. Quote, "She hates America." While it's unclear how much regard Anderson may or may not have for America, if there's any truth to the allegations, it'll be clear she has a very little regard for America's laws. She's just a pile of crap, man. This I find very, very interesting. The whole thing that they're going down with Pete Hegseth. It seems that they're trying to do an attempt like trying to do a Clarence Thomas upon him, but it might not work on Pete. Mostly because he still has a backing of Trump. And Trump said to him very classically, if you want it, you're going to have to work for it. So I don't see, Pete being a war veteran and saying, I'm going to have to knuckle under. This is just too much work. This is too hard. Yeah. This coming out to be very, very interesting. Supposedly, when RFK Jr. gets in office, potentially the FBA might outlaw food dyes that are outlawed in Canada, Europe, and other places within weeks. And the move would affect candy, sodas, cakes, and revolutionize the American diet, to which I say, I hope they also ban HFCS or high fructose corn syrup in all its varied and elusive names as well. It is insidious, it's thought-provoking, it is horrendous for the human body to try to metabolize because it is not an existing sugar in nature. It is literally, they take corn starch, they then put it through a process that makes it into kind of a saccharide. It is not the same thing. It's like when they take oil and they hydrolyze it and they make it into shortening. It is not the same thing as butter, okay? Seed oils made in the hydrogenated anything is not the same thing as butter. You're not going to milk a cow and get margarine out of it. As a matter of fact, you put margarine and butter down on the ground side by side. The ants go over and they go, no, we don't. No, that's bad. They go over and they scarf on the butter. They won't eat the margarine. They might give it a test lick and they're like, they don't do it. Scrolly. This one, classic case of rats off a sinking ship. Yet another swamp turd flushes himself. This guy needs to be criminally charged. So it's now being reported from Breitbart.com. FBI Director Wray is preparing to resign because he does not want to be fired. Yeah, you're pretty much going to get tossed out the door, dude. So see if I can try to say this without being too excessively snarking, but be itchy. Be itchy. Yeah. Be itchy. Disney snow woke princess S-hit cans her own crappy effort at sucky films again. Face it, S-hit bag. You just S-hit the bed and rolled in it. Embrace the suck. So Disney's Snow White star Rachel Ziegler's latest movie, Y2K, has bombed at the box office. Now, the thing is, this movie cost like $15 million to make. The box office has been like $2 million. If you know anything about how Hollywood works, typically, say a $5 million movie's made. It needs to make $10 million to break even. To actually make a profit, it probably needs to make somewhere on about the order of like 15 to 17 million. Mostly because the distribution stuff costs money, all the other secondary stuff costs money, all the back behind the scenes stuff costs money, administrative, all the rest of that whole happy falderall. It doesn't just cost $5 million to make. It's got to make a lot more to get profitable. This thing's going to be a turd in a punch bowl that nobody wants to do. Scrolly. The guy who supposedly zapped the insurance guy in New York City, supposedly he's reported by his mommy missing in November. He's so mysterious. Even his mommy was missing him. Yuck. This guy. There's no other way I could say just simply my absolute disdain for this human being. But this guy I'm talking about, no other than Representative James Clyburn, Democrat from South Carolina. You are just an absolute, just a
Dickhead.
a steaming large pile of
Dickhead.
yeah. Anyway, so Clyburn pardons for nonviolent J6 defendants could be okay. You
Dickhead.
Yeah. So on Monday's broadcast, the CNN News Central, which probably nobody watched, Representative James Clyburn discussed pardons for January 6 defendants by stating that, quote, some people may have been caught up in the emotion and maybe a pardon for them would be okay.
Dickhead.
But if you're using the American flag, plunging into law enforcement officers, you've injured a law enforcement officer, and you're spraying whatever stuff they were spraying on people, those people should not be pardoned. And so, yes, go case by case. And there may be people who got caught up and give them a pardon.
Dickhead.
You know, the last time I looked, the president didn't need your permission, Mr.
Dickhead.
Yeah, James Clyde.
Dickhead.
Yeah, you. I'm just going to basically give a quick read on this one. Breitbart.com. Supposedly, the Ministry of Defense in England is reportedly set to accelerate tests of battlefield electric vehicles in the coming year. Initially thought up into the so-called blah, 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 blah. Okay, so using motor fuels to recharging a fighting vehicle, that's an EV in combat, versus using motor fuels to power fighting vehicles directly. This is just beyond ignorant. Never mind the fact that when you hit these things, they light off, and it's not good to be in an EV that's on fire. I don't care what you say. As good as you build a tank, somebody's going to build a better bullet. That's just how stuff works, okay? You don't just walk into the combat zone and go, my stuff is bulletproof. It's going to be absolutely amazing. You won't be able to hurt me at all because it's a tank. No, it's still a fighting vehicle. All right, so in the 1 hour time period, I'm going to break up this one, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. You got a Tuesday. Those people decided to hang out with me today. Awesome. Those people checking me out in review. Thank you again. Quiet night in the chat room, but I still want to put it out there for you guys to check it out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know you got many other places to go. You get a gold star for attendance. I thank you so much for your kind attentions. I will catch you guys next week. Good stuff like that there. I will see you then. Thank you guys again. I will see you later, and good stuff like that there. Catch you guys later. Eat good, keep pretending as always, you know what, you love it. I will see you next week. Catch you guys. British!